You are now entering the Honeysuckle Podcast.
I'm Abe Miller. I'm one of the founders of Uncle Arnie's Cannabis Beverages. I helped start the company back in May 4th, 2020, whenever we launched the brand. And I also am the vice president of sales for us too as well. So I lead and manage our day-to-day sales operations here in California, and also lead the sales expansion for us multi-state as we continue to expand our national footprint. And we're here to talk about some damn cannabis beverages, man. We're here to talk about the exciting opportunity for cannabis beverages, the seed invest opportunity with Uncle Arnie's, and just talk some shit.
Yeah. So May 4th, 2020, the best time, as far as I know, to launch a business. How did that go?
It was definitely, I think it was almost a double-edged sword, right? Like it was right when COVID first happened. And I want to say it was like 2 months after like lockdowns really got serious, because lockdowns really started to happen like March, April. But it was for sure right in the smack middle of right when everything was really starting to get heated and hot. But, it was, as I said, it was a double-edged sword, because though there was the negative of COVID and everybody was locked at home and nobody could leave, cannabis was actually on the rise and was, really pumping a lot of numbers. People were smoking a lot of pot then. And it was a really unique and interesting opportunity for Uncle Arnie's, because when we launched, we were the cheapest beverage in the entire cannabis space. So there wasn't a beverage that was more affordable than us. We were the first $10 100 milligram drink. And I think we were the second most affordable edible product in California, next to, I believe it was Fruit, that launched roughly around the same time as us, which is a gummy brand. So though the negatives of not being able to actually go and interact with a lot of retailers, there was a lot of positives that came out of it, because we were able to provide something that was unique and brand new to the space, and also kind of fit within that affordable, like, do we have money right now? Like, do we save these checks that we're getting from the government? What do we do about our job situation? And provide something that was low cost, a quality product, effective, and they could get a lot of THC for a little bit of dollars. So it made a lot of people's money stretch.
Yeah. So you guys have made some enviable traction since 2020. I've certainly seen it in almost all the California dispensaries. I've been to, maybe I've seen it in New York at some less than licensed places. I'm not saying I did. But you guys really have had that kind of like aggressive market expansion. So can you talk a little bit about why you guys have gotten that traction?
Yeah, so we have really just started to begin it now. 3 months ago, we expanded into our first new territory and new state, which was Oregon. And over the last 3 years, I think what's really built a lot of that traction is just, the growth here in California, which has been pretty organic to the date. We've spent very, very little money on marketing. Really the cost comparison and really owning that market for the last 3 years has been able to allow us to grow the brand from a national perspective. And we're getting a lot of recognition from that, because people are coming into the state, obviously doing activities and bringing it outside of the state. As you said, you saw it in New York. I've definitely gotten some DMs from some people in New York and even down in Georgia. And with us going to the other legal states, the traction of where we've been able to build it and expand in those other states is, just trying to leverage the footprint and the brand that we have. So we just launched in Oregon. We're in about 60 stores now. We literally just started our relationship with the largest retail chain there, which is Nectar. They own 40 dispensaries. Shout out to the founders at Wild, and also Johnny, the buyer there, for laying it all up and teeing it up for us and starting a really great partnership. And we're going to be also expanding over into Michigan and also Nevada this year too as well. So we're continuing to just try to push the idea of having an accessible, quality and unique brand, and trying to push that mission and provide more beverage opportunities and beverage opportunities that have a successful track record at people actually buying it and buying it in mass volume. So
yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about beverage. Everybody who's in the industry, you know, if you're not in the know, it was very hot, 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 hot. Everybody wanted to talk about it in 2022. I think a lot of people are now kind of seeing where the market is moving. The more inclusive the market gets, the more kind of curious, kind of moms, you know, the people who aren't the heads, you know what I mean, that the market really was designed around in a lot of places. So can you talk about like why beverage, you know, and how you guys found yourself in the space?
yeah. So as you mentioned, you know, the canna moms, the microdosing, those new consumers, the reason why we wanted to do cannabis beverage was, you know, one of our other co-founders, Matt McGinn, he also founded a manufacturing facility called Space Station Manufacturing, which is owned by Mammoth now, which is the heavy hitter group. And we saw the vision for beverage because it's one of the most, you know, familiar formats that we actually use every single day, right? We have to drink water in order to live. We drink sodas. It's one of the most popular social activities too, as well, that most people use, you know, drinking alcohol. It's kind of always a thing that's always been around, having a beverage in hand. So bringing infused cannabis beverages, and there were already brands in the space like Kinney with heavy hitters, the Manzanita group, which is like Quickies, the Fizz, and there were legal beverages and some other beverage brands too as well, Agua de Flor. A lot of them were already in the space, but nobody was really making like a huge ripple effect and making people want to go to the store to buy beverages. So we saw that as the biggest opportunity for beverage was how do we get them excited to come into the store, and how do we get them to want to come and enjoy cannabis beverages? So there's the challenge aspect of it. One, it was the new emerging market. As you said, you know, a lot of people have been watching it and have been talking positively about it in 2022. You know, a lot of it really started to happen in 2020 because everybody was drinking the juice on the low dose, right? But in every single market segment that you're seeing that allows even a more higher dose package, it reigns over 50 to 60% of the total revenue and the total sales. And being able to have the manufacturing capabilities, we saw what was coming in, and it was only low dose. Everybody was drinking the fucking juice on the low dose and trying to spend money betting on the new consumer coming in. And we found it as an opportunity to bet on the consumer that was actually living there, because nobody was doing something for the actual cannabis consumers. I'm a legacy guy myself. I've been smoking weed longer now at this point in my life than I haven't been smoking weed. I finally have reached that milestone in my life where I'm like, yeah, my lungs have been filled with cannabis way longer than not.
Yeah, that's easy for me as well.
But yeah, but also too, like I'm that guy. You know, my mom raised me on going to Ross. You know, we weren't the family that was you know, going to Nordstrom or going to those high-end stores and purchasing and spending a lot of money. And that was what was missing in the cannabis space 3 years ago. And that was the reason why people were still buying. Everybody spoke to when it came to buying edibles, they didn't buy them in a fucking store. They took the risk on what was being sprayed on those Laffy Taffy gummies with the Nerds Crunch on them, or, you know, man, I can't remember what that Elect Market Pop-Tart brand is, but there was like the 300 milligram rosin infused Pop-Tarts, and there's all these other really unique companies like Liquid Karma that is a nano infused Elect Market 2000 milligram beverage that were capitalizing on the consumers that were living in the space today, just not in the right way. So we wanted to bet on the legacy consumer that was there and really build something that was for the homies and to get retailers excited about beverage. And the only way to do that is to make dollars make sense. Like if those drinks that were once $20 weren't making money for them because they were selling 3 a month, they'll never believe in beverage. So we wanted to come in and prove the theory that we could sacrifice our margin, which we didn't really. I mean, we have a great margin, but our play has always been about volume and making a brand for the people and making a brand for the consumer that really lives in the space today. And that goes for every market too, as well, that continues to become legalized. You know, any of these low dose based states that are living right now, there is the consumer that is in California that has been smoking weed for, 30 plus years, that is waiting for the day that they're able to go into the store and buy pot, and they want that interaction. And we're trying to address that market as everybody else is going to the other market, because those consumers that come out first are going to be the ones for the first 10 to 15 years that are going to be purchasing weed, while these other companies are spending their dollars on trying to get the soccer mom to finally feel comfortable to come into the weed store. Half of those people are still ordering off of delivery services because they they don't want to be caught with it or be seen with it and feel shameful about it. So there's a lot of stigma to be broken, a lot of money to be invested to break that stigma based on marketing. But we wanted to make it for the homies and for people like myself and like you.
Yeah, no, I mean, the beverage game is a real game changer. I mean, I've been booze sober for 10 years, and you still have that thing where it's like, I'm at the party, and it's like, okay, I got to leave to smoke this flower, and like, who knows how cool everybody is, you know what I mean? But it's like, if I wanna have a beverage, I'm inside with them, I'm sipping. It can be as clandestine as I want to make it. I can be the only person in the room who knows I'm sipping, or I can share with everybody, but I can still have that kind of normal, more normalized experience and be social. It's a super game changer.
Yeah, I think that's another really exciting thing that I think that I'm probably most excited for too, is my mom, she actually just flew out here last June for the first time since I think the last time I saw her was November 2019. And I just saw her for the first time since then after COVID. So she had never even seen or tried a cannabis beverage, and she's 64 years old. And, we've smoked pot together. It's not her first choice. She loves her wine, and she's always been a tequila girl at heart.
Yeah.
But now that she was able to I gave her first cocktail infused Uncle Arnie's, and seeing the social aspect of it and being able to provide something unique like that to her, I think has been the biggest game changer too as well. And what makes Uncle Arnie's great is, it tastes great, and it's $10, and you have 10 dosing. You have 10 ways to be able to make 10 different beverages and not break your bank on that. Right. And make different mocktails and have a really creative way to do it. And for those people that have kids and stuff like that, now you don't have to be the person that's smoking a blunt outside and then coming back in smelling like smoke, or, you can be, I went and watched Avatar 2 and literally brought Uncle Arnie's apple juice in there and was sipping on an apple juice, getting high, watching a 3-hour movie, having the most craziest mind explosion of my life for 3 hours. So it's definitely made its way to be way more unique and accessible. And like, I think it's going to be one of the things that breaks the cannabis stigma,
I think it's going to be the thing that breaks the cannabis stigma. I mean, we were talking about low dose, but I think that everybody who I talk to, because, amongst my friends, that people know that I work in the industry, and they're kind of like, curious, how do I kind of dip my toes into the deep end, or, on the shallow end? And I'm like, honestly, I would start with something that's consumable, and I would start at a really reasonable level, and over a couple of days just kind of like level yourself up, and you're going to be able to get like a cannabinoid experience that's not, I mean, it's not smoking like, but this is one of the crazy things that nobody talks about in this industry is that like the product is predominantly something you set on fire and put in your lungs, and it's like, I don't know, I remember some PSAs that said that wasn't a good thing for me. And so I think that a lot of people who are off put by pungent aroma, smelling like smoke, even they've never smoked in their life, so they have no interest in that. It's like, hey, here's a glass of lemonade, or an Arnold Palmer, or the classic drink that you're used to drinking. You're a vodka and soda kind of person. Just hold the vodka, and you know what I mean. Try 5 milligrams, try 10 milligrams in that drink, and call me a liar, tell me that that's not, you know what I mean, like a really nice way to spend your evening. No, weed's not for everybody, but I think that like this kind of thing is is going to be so goddamn commonplace in.
Oh yeah. I mean, even too, like you just mentioned, like, you know, it's everybody's so used to lighting up something and smoking it. And this is something that isn't spoken about enough, I feel like, in the space. The beautiful thing about the beverages now too, as well, and especially for like new consumers that are curious about trying it, or even a legacy consumer that like smokes a zip every 2 weeks, like that is a legacy consumer, but they have a low tolerance to edibles because they've had a scary brownie experience or a scary cookie experience. But and that's what steered them away from other edible based products. But the beautiful thing about drinks is now with nano emulsion, you know, companies like Vertosa that are actually toll providing it and making and putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into actual data studies and like health research on how it interacts with you. It bypasses your liver. In the way that your liver breaks down delta 9 THCs, it converts it to a hydroxy 11, delta 11. And it's what gives that spacey, crazy ass experience that people usually tend to get afraid of. I've been that guy personally myself. Like I've literally had experiences where I feel like I've been on mushrooms and I ate, you know, a quarter gram of hash and a brownie and didn't even realize what it was doing to me. And now with drinks is, and with the way that your liver is able to process it and how fast acting is, the delta 9 stays consistent. So you're still getting like somewhat of a traditional smoking experience of the feeling, but now you're removing the combustion from it and the damage to your lungs.
Yeah. It's honestly, I would say it's the number one thing this industry avoids talking about is how smoking's terrible for you. And we all love beautiful, rare, hand-picked flower. We're all into it. But it is something that we need to talk about, which is like maybe reducing the number of times you smoke a week by a couple of sessions because you're augmenting that with an Arnie's or with something else that's not combustible.
Yeah, I always say mixing. Cannabis is, it's funny because there's people that smoke flower and they're like, edibles, listen, man, I only smoke flower. And half the time I'd literally look at them with this face. I'm like, you're telling me you don't like weed? It's like the distillate versus rosin thing. Like there's a place for specific concentrates and there's a place for the type of consumer. But at the end of the day, when you talk shit about or talk negatively about one aspect of the way that you're consuming, you're talking about negatively about the plant as a whole, right? And I tell people like, you know, the way that edibles and even drinks should be, because I'm a smoker at first. Like I smoke about a half sip a week. I buy it from the company called Green Dragon right down here. I live in Vallejo in the Bay, and they sell, you know, a half sip for $65. I can smoke like a king. I can smoke that in a week. And it's their indoor smalls. So it's like indoor, good flower, like no stems, it's fire. But now instead of smoking like 3 huge doinks and smoking like an eighth in one setting, I get home after the gym. I pop 20 milligrams in a drink and a seltzer. I'm cooking my dinner, not worrying about like trying to maneuver, do multiple things while I'm smoking a joint and the smoke in my eye. Now I'm sipping a drink. My high's already starting to begin. After I finish eating, I'm already stoned because that process is already starting to happen. And now maybe I go take a dab just to really get it started and then find a movie that I want, roll up a nice J and then smoke the joint. And by that time, I mean, I'm wrecked. Like I'm the high that I would get off of 3 massive joints, but now I'm intertwining and mixing and having multiple ways of consuming and using it to my benefit for health and also for easy and accessibility reasons, you know?
Yeah. The other thing I was just talking to someone about this today, is if you're not into the concentrates world, you can only get so far with flower. I can only smoke so much before I'm just like, brah, I can't smoke anymore. But my high might not necessarily get me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're talking about like the pincer attack where it's like, I got some edibles. They're in the mail. They're on the way. Now I'm going to smoke a little bit. Now I can get to, if you know what I mean? If that's what you're choosing to do with your, you know, your evening or whatever, you can do that in a way that's not having to sit there and smoke 2 blunts back to back to, you know, to get where you want to get, you know, with yourself.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the investing that's happening right now in the company. I want to know about like, you know, kind of like your guys' what brought you to bring it to the market the way that you did. And then maybe if you can get into some of the some of the specificity about the investments, it's written out in English technically. You know what I mean? But it's like, how does that work? Like the people who want to come to you know the brand, know a smart investment. They're going to come to you guys. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So we just started a crowdfunding campaign, which is, open to the mass general public. And it's always been along with our ethos. We're a self-funded business. For the last 3 years, we've raised, I want to say like 4.2 million from just all of our general investor group that we have that has been investing since the very beginning, and also new friends and family ourselves that we've poured our life savings into. And the market right now, just the general economy, isn't the best. And any good business, you always have to continue to raise money, especially if you're building something that's largely massive, unless you take a couple of years, take it really slow and try to reach net profitability right from the beginning. That wasn't our approach in the very beginning. We were just trying to grow, raising money, just trying to grow and capture the opportunity that we had as quick as possible in a responsible way. And this year, since the economy was taking a bit of a downturn, we've continued to just tighten up our model. By the end of this quarter, we'll be cash profitable, which is great because now we're going to be able to be in a position whenever the economy opens up for VCs and all these other companies to want to come in and invest with us. We'll be able to actually name our dollars. So we wanted to take it with crowdfunding because we've been getting offers from other people, right? Other larger groups, private investors, other brands that want Arnie's, but the valuations and where it all sits based on the investment that we would get on the portion of equity that we'll give away just doesn't make sense to us, and we're not in this position where we're not in a shitty position or a desperate position to just get money like that. That's not where we're at. We're trying to really grow this the right way organically and have strategic partnerships and alignments when we make those decisions. We're not the kind of company that just sees some cash and grabs it. And our ethos has always been around being a brand for the people. And because that's what we designed Uncle Arnie's for, was the real legacy consumer. We didn't make this product off of our idea on what we thought was cool. We went directly to the consumers, the purchasing managers, the bud tenders, spoke with people in the dispensary and said, what would you like to see from cannabis beverages? Because they're coming no matter what. They're going to come in all different shapes, sizes, formats, pricing. They're coming. You don't have a decision on if they're going to be in the store or not to buyers and stuff. And they're going to be there. There's going to be 100 brands that their livelihood is reliant on you. And if you don't take a chance on it, you're going to be the bad guy in this whole scenario. But you have an opportunity now to tell us what you want to see. So aligning with the ethos that we've had of making a brand for the people, it just seemed right to raise the money through our actual network and our actual consumers and the real fans, and give them the opportunity to own a piece of something that they've been enjoying for 3 years before we actually just give this, before we take an investment and give this thing away. Uncle Arnie's is much bigger than myself, my partners, and everybody else. Our goal is to be, one of the most accessible, unique cannabis brands in the globe, on the face of the earth, the globe, however you want to say it. And sometimes that is beyond you. You know what I mean? That has to be taken beyond you, and it takes decades to be able to grow that. Look at Coke and all those other bigger companies, right? Especially even alcohol, it's taken 100 years. So understanding that, and just where the markets are at and where all these other, bigger investors are at, it's not the right time. This was the best opportunity for us to bring it back organically and give the real people the opportunity to actually purchase something that they love at a low barrier entry. So the investment's only $1,000 right now. You can go to seedinvest.com. That's a platform that we're using. It's an SEC credited regulated platform for startups and just businesses that are just doing equity crowdfunding. And, we want to put it back in the hands of the people. I want a bud tender to be proud that they just invested $1,000 into a brand that they know for the last 3 years that they've been selling the hell out of, or a customer that, like yesterday, I was spoken to a guy that had kidney failure, and he's waiting for a kidney transplant, and Uncle Arnie's are the only thing that actually hit him fast, and he can buy a ton at a time and not break his bank because he has dialysis and all this other stuff. So giving those people the opportunity to actually own a piece of something that's helped them in their life, that they're excited about. No other cannabis company has really been able to do that, especially from a public standpoint. So it was unique. It was along with our ethos. It just felt right. And we just want to be in a position where we have people that really believe in us and believe in the vision, backing us on what we got going on. And that's the reason why we chose crowdfunding to go with right now. And those are the reasons why we're providing this opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we are, an investor from our, platform. We're glad to be on board with you guys. So for anybody listening or anybody who's interested in, investing, I've got this $1,000. I cannot wait. How would I move forward?
So you would head over to seedinvest.com. It's basically really 8 simple steps. You just fill out your information. It's almost like signing up to like Robinhood or something like that. And you sync your bank account together through there. And essentially it's almost like you put the money in escrow. You don't have to make the decision today. But in order for you to be able to take advantage of the opportunity, you do have to go through and complete the entire form and fill out the money and deposit the money into the bank account. Then I believe that you have 2 weeks that you can make the decision. But if I were you, I would just go ahead and do it. I think it's a great opportunity. But as always too, I like to make sure that I'm telling everybody, and I'll even tell the viewers that are here, don't invest irresponsibly. Don't invest more than what you can lose, because every business, every stock that you purchase, even between Tesla and Starbucks, it's a risk. So there's always that level of component. But with our actual track record and with where we've been at, we're going to work damn hard for those dollars that you guys give us. And we're going to work until the end of time to make sure that this thing is the most successful thing possible that we can make it, and make sure that it's the most fruitful for the investors that we have. So you head over to seedinvest.com, click on the Uncle Arnie's profile that's on there. It should be a button that's at the very right top. And you just start the process, fill out the 7 steps and load the money in there and get it going. If you also head over to unclearniesinvestor.com, there's also tier incentives too as well that you can get when you invest with us too. So we're trying to give back a little for the people that are giving to us, and it's anywhere from $1,000 to $50,000. We like to call those as our enthusiasts. So you get like $1,000 Delta gift card. We're going to fly you out here, come do a private tasting, drink some drinks with us. Let's eat some food. You'll get a pair of custom Uncle Arnie Vans. You'll get your own Uncle Arnie illustration, because all of our marketing's all illustrated based from our guy, Jeff. And it's very much kind of like The Simpsons in a way. Like, we bring people into our world. We usually don't do things out in the real life like that. So we will make your own Uncle Arnie character and animation. There's a bunch of other stuff in there that we're also providing too. So you can check that out on on unclearnieinvestor.com. And there's even a link in there too where you can click to figure out more information, and myself or my CEO or my chief strategy officer will give you a personal call and answer any questions that they may have.
Awesome. And I mean, we've been talking about our personal and anecdotal relationship and enthusiasm for the beverage world, but there's also you guys have numbers in your deck that, the kind of forecast that you guys are making about market share. I think you're hit. I kind of see the market going the same way, but if you could kind of explain, this is an investment, but it's looking pretty good as far as the numbers you guys are doing and what potentially the future of these markets is going to evolve into.
Oh, absolutely. Our first year, we did $400,000 in sales, and we only had one product. Our second year, 2021, we did $1.2 million in sales, and we only had 2 products. We launched our second product 2 months into the year's end. So we almost tripled our revenue on one SKU. That's how much we were able to dominate and control about 32% of the entire beverage market as a whole. And last year we just ended at 2.7 million. And next year we're projected, and we're already off to a very good start this month and for this year for sales revenue to reach 6.7 million this year. So we're almost going to triple that number again. And that's a combination effect between all the new market expansion that we're doing, because we have Oregon that's already active and rolling, 60 dispensaries there. One of those 60 dispensaries is the largest retailer in Oregon, which is Nectar, 40 locations. They're kind of the one that put brands on the map. And then 2 as well, we're launching in Nevada very, very soon. We're flying out there next month to start production. And we're also going to be launching in Michigan as well too this year. And Michigan's a super unique opportunity that I think that we're going to be really well positioned in, because it's almost the California story all over again. The average 100 milligram beverage, which is only one, there's no other brand. There's just one, and it's Dixie Elixirs, and it's roughly about $24. So we're going to enter very, very competitively, basically the same pricing as California. And we already have around 200 stores slotted out of the 553 doors that are active there, picking up Uncle Arnie's. So almost immediately we should be in almost 50% of the entire market, and will be almost 50% cheaper and more affordable than the other competitors that are there. So it's looking really good for beverage, at least in some of those other states. And then we also are looking at, we're watching New York very closely. That's a market that I'm super excited about personally. We're going to continue our efforts down in the Southwest, because it's hot. It's great for beverage. There's a lot of excitement around beverage, and a lot of legacy consumers that are leaving from California and going over there, like, New Mexico, Arizona. A lot of people are moving out of California as much as people are moving in, and they're going to places like that. And Colorado is another really exciting one, and same with Washington too as well. I mean, Washington is the largest market for cannabis beverages as a whole. They do more money than California does, and I think more people are just getting excited about it. So our revenue's continuing to grow, and just based with everything that we have set from the expansion side of things, with how we're running our numbers here in California. And those numbers are just based on California. That's one state so far. We just launched into the other states, and we'll be launching into more of them this year. The revenue is just only going to continue to explode. So I hope that we actually do more than that 6.7, which is great for all the investors too.
Yeah, for sure. And then you guys have some predictions about the future as far as like where market share is going as well, as far as like who's smoking flower, who's doing beverages, and you guys are seeing that part of the pie getting bigger.
Yeah. So, I mean, just with alcohol alone, dry January this year, 1 out of every 5 Americans took an abstinent from alcohol. So that in itself right there is huge, because all of those segments, a lot of those people are actually converting and coming over to us. At least when it comes to smoking flower too as well, that's steadily been on the decline, because people are just wanting to do less combustion. I think it was last year that there was the official study that more people were smoking cigarettes, more people were smoking marijuana than they were cigarettes, which is a huge stride. That means that people are moving away from nicotine and tobacco, and they're coming over to cannabis. And cannabis smoking has been on the decline too as well. Beverage specifically has been growing over and over again. I think just even between the last 2 years, it's jumped from 2% to almost 5% of the total edible category, which grew 33% last year. So that's growing. Smoking has been on the decline. And we are continuing to control more of that beverage market too as well. I mean, more people are entering in the space, but right now we control about 30% of the beverage market just here in California. And our iced tea lemonade SKU is the number 2 best-selling SKU in the nation right now. And we're going to continue to multiply that across each state too. So,
yeah, no, I mean, it's all very impressive, especially for a company that outside of weed would be young, but in weed years is like president years. So you guys have actually kind of been around for a minute.
yeah.
And had success. So yeah, I mean, I wish you more success. I think that your guys' future is exciting. I think that ending up on some of the New York shelves, you know what I mean? Like is an indicator as well as far as what this market is looking for. And it doesn't look like it's that much different than any other market, which is something coming at a price point, something coming at a certain quality. And you guys, went out and did your due diligence, found that, and created the product around that. So,
yeah, New York is interesting too. I've been saying this for the last like 5 years. Like, if your product is somehow making it outside of its walls, that means that you're doing something right. Stizzy has been the largest vape company for the last 5 years. And let's be honest, like, you can go on Alibaba and find their boxes. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot harder to mimic a beverage, which it's flattering to see, it's flattering to see even people doing that kind of stuff with other brands, as I don't condone illegal activities whatsoever, but it's flattering from a brand to be like, okay, like, we're so popular that people are counterfeiting us. Like, that's fucking nuts. And even like hear and know for a fact that our beverages are making their way to other states. Again, I don't condone anything illegal ever. Like, don't hit me up to try to send you product. It won't happen. It's not worth the risk. But it's flattering to see that people are choosing that, right? Like, to know that it is existing somewhere else, and people are continuing time and time again to take that risk, and they're choosing those brands and those products, really shows you that it's going beyond and it's becoming legacy within itself.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in that sense, it is legacy at this point in some communities.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, congratulations. Things are looking interesting for you guys. And well, maybe the next time we catch up, we'll have to see where you guys are at.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too, man. Thanks so much for a fun talk.
Okay. All right. Talk to you later.
Cheers, brother.